All right, Coach, big weekend here. Finally, time is here. You get to step on the mat as a coach in the corner. Talk about the feelings leading up to this weekend.
Well, obviously, there's a lot of excitement here because you've all got me circled right now. So there's a lot of excitement here right now, and there's a lot of excitement sitting over on the wall here right now with our team and our coaching staff. I wish I could. One of the fun things about being a coach, and it doesn't change wherever you're at, is just seeing guys progress and seeing guys compete and finding out which guys are ready to take the challenge and take the opportunity to step up. And it's probably never been so apparent as it is right now, because I think I speak on behalf of Coach Metcalf and Coach St. John and Coach Zadik in that we don't know a lot about these guys right now in terms of how they're going to perform under the fire, how they're going to perform this weekend. And so it's really exciting for us to see, early on what guys are going to step up and decide they're going to be the next big name at Iowa State. So I wish I could make some predictions. I felt like the last 5 or 6 years had some pretty good squads at Virginia Tech, so I felt really comfortable in the fact of, we think we're ready to be a trophy team, we're ready to be a top 10 team. That was the progress. But this year, it's definitely up in the air, and that's scary, but it's also exciting. So that's my statement.
What specifically are you looking for from guys both this weekend and at Lindenwood? You kind of hinted that those 2 weekends are kind of going to be your wrestle-offs. I guess what are you hoping to see both of those weekends?
Yeah, I think some guys are going to step up and be the guy. And there's going to be ways that are probably going to be contested throughout the year. I've always, as a coach, had the philosophy that, we'll determine who the starter is the day before we leave for Big 12s. So it's a fair game until that point, and that gives guys a chance to progress throughout the year. So it's not about the guy that's good in November, it's about the best guy that we could put on the mat in February.
One of those contested weights is 133 with Ian Parker and Marcus Simmons. What have you seen out of them so far?
2 really good guys, 2 really good guys that have they have a lot of potential. So seeing how those guys perform, Parker's cutting some weight, but the most disciplined, hard-nosed guy we probably have on our roster right now. Simmons is super talented, but we got to see how he can hold up when the heat's on. And so super talented, but like I said, what's he going to do when the pressure's on and it's a minute to go and you got to dig deep and win? So 2 different kind of wrestlers, but 2 very, very capable and talented wrestlers.
How much did Kanan Soar benefit from being able to compete and succeed as an unattached wrestler last season?
I think, obviously we weren't around for a lot of that, but Kanan had a really good redshirt year, especially freestyle-wise. But freestyle and folk style are like apples and oranges sometimes, and so it's a new challenge, and I know Kanan's excited about a new challenge. So does one translate to the other? Maybe a little bit in that he's a competitor, but there's different approaches, different styles, different time matches, and so it'll be just like everybody else. Everybody is curious to see what Kanan Soar is going to do, and right away this weekend.
Is it exciting to be a new staff and have a young roster you get to mold almost throughout? Like, you don't have a lot of experienced guys, a lot of old guys, a lot of those guys are graduates. Is it exciting to have a young squad to mold?
Well, we definitely have a young squad, and I like the word mold because we have to gel. And if you were to ask me, is this team completely 100% gelled, I would tell you no. It just doesn't happen overnight, and that's what we continue to strive for. And there's really good signs, and it's like 2 steps forward, and then every now and then it's 1 or 2 steps back, and maybe 3 steps back. And let's hope that this weekend's 1 step, or when we get to this weekend, it's 1 step forward. But one of the very first things I told the team when I got hired was, in mid-March, I said it's going to be bumpy for a while. And that's what I'd tell the Cyclone Nation, and that's what I tell all of you, and that's what I'm going to continue to tell them is it's going to be bumpy. And when it's bumpy, there's up bumps and there's down bumps, and so we'll see what we get this first weekend.
Does that mean necessarily you got to just be patient in the process, or just because there are going to be the up and downs? How do you stay patient with the process?
Well, we've got it's definitely going to take patience. Now, patience and Kevin Dresser in the same sentence probably isn't a good start if you ask anybody that knows me, or Mike Zadik, or Brett Metcalf, or Derek St. John. We want to win right now, but we also are realistic and know what lies in front of us. So this isn't a 100-yard dash. If we're going to build a solid long-term program, and that's what I felt like I've done everywhere that I've been, it's got to be done the right way. You don't win by taking shortcuts and quick fixes. So that means there's going to be bumps.
With all the young guys, who are you maybe looking to step up in terms of a leadership role on this team?
Well, we had that talk yesterday, is that I'm hoping that we can get somebody to step up on this team and maybe be more of a verbal leader. We've got some really good guys that lead by example in the room, but I think it would be a great thing for us right now is we don't have that one or two guys that just steps up and boom, like I'm going to take over this team and I'm going to make sure we're doing the things right away from lead and we're doing the things right away from Hilton when we're in our apartments, when we're home on break. That's the kind of accountability that we need to have, and all great teams have those guys. And we're not quite there yet. Might happen soon, I don't know.
What went into the decision of moving Marcus Harrington up to heavyweight?
He likes to eat, and he's really good at eating, and he likes to lift weights, and he's really good at lifting weights. And if you ask him to take his shirt off, if it's legal to take a picture of him with his shirt off, you'll see why. He's a heavyweight. So I don't want to get in trouble. I know there's probably some rules and laws against making him take his shirt off. But he's a pretty big guy, and he's weighing 237, 238.
Okay.
To me, that's a heavyweight.
Yeah. What are you expecting from him this season?
Tremendous ability. I really like what we've seen out of Marcus in the last month. For Marcus, it's about just going out and buying into scoring and beating guys up for 7 whole minutes, not just going and getting the first takedown and maybe trying to get another takedown. When he really buys into it, and we see it sometimes, I even see it sometimes when he's scrapping with Kyvan, that when he goes out to score the whole time, he's really going to be a dynamic guy. I don't know if he's ever been pushed hard to do that. It's not saying anything negative about the old staff, but this staff's going to push you to score a lot of points.
Did Samko have anything to do with that decision, since he's one of the more highly touted guys on this team?
No. Sam likes to eat too, so he's shrinking. One guy's getting bigger, one guy's shrinking. So I think it's just a good fit for our team. Those two.
You mentioned Store, freestyle folk style can sometimes be apple and oranges, but there's a lot of similarities between the two styles. Where I guess do you think he needs to make the most improvement, or what does he maybe need to focus on now that he's doing folk style?
That's hard for me. I really can't even answer that because he's a little bit of a mystery to me, because if I watch him in the room, I wouldn't predict the results he has out when he competes. Like when I saw him compete in Vegas, I saw him compete in Lincoln and places like that. He's a competitor, and so sometimes you have those guys that just don't maybe light you up in the room, and then you put a singlet on him and turn on the lights. So he seems to be a different guy when that, in a good way. Now, I wish he was more. I wish we could get a little bit more out of that in the room, because then I think when you step out there and the lights are on, you got a really good guy. You got a stud. So,
looking at the probable lineups, you got a lot of competition at a lot of weights. How good is that for your team, or how do you look at that?
Well, that's great for our team, and that's that's the way we're always going to be. Is that we're bringing in good guys, and sometimes that scares away kids that are seniors in high school, and I don't like it, because where I come from, I never ever once looked at back in the '80s who Dan Gable was recruiting. I looked at everybody that came in as a training partner, and somebody was going to make me better. I like the fact that back in Iowa we recruited all blue chip guys, and if you were going to make the spot, you were going to be the best guy. You had to earn it, and that's what's going to happen at Iowa State. So we've got, fortunately in this society, sometimes kids kind of want to come in and be the guy and have a guarantee, and there's no guarantees in life, and there's no guarantees on a great wrestling program. So it frustrates me that some kids get a little bit, their feelings hurt if you start recruiting somebody else that's maybe a blue chip guy, and we've had some blue chip guys just verbal to us recently, and I think it scared some guys off, and those guys aren't going to work out. We want guys that want to compete, and the old iron sharpens irons is the way things are going to happen in Ames.
Talking about iron sharpens iron, you got Austin Gomez at 133.2 to go along with Ian Parker, Marcus Simmons. I'm assuming he's going to redshirt, and if so, how much do you think he can develop with those two guys in front of him?
Yeah, that's iron sharpens iron right there. We've got 3 really good guys at 2 weights, and or maybe 3 really good guys at 1 weight. I don't know. I mean, they're obviously going to probably grow apart eventually. Yeah, he needs to have a good year. Unfortunately, he's a little dinged up right now. We're not going to see him at the Cyclone Open. He's, Marcus Coleman and Austin Gomez are really super tough, true freshmen. But he got dinged in the head a little bit last week, and just for precautionary sake, we need to sit him this weekend. And so we won't get to see him. I know that a lot of the Cyclones want to see him, but in time you're going to see, that that Gomez is pretty special.
We're going to see Coleman this weekend. Sorry.
Yes, he's going to. Coleman's ready to go as long as we get through the next 2 days.
All right.
Would you like to see Gomez at Lindenwood then?
Hopefully we can see Gomez at Lindenwood. Yeah, we got, anytime you get dinged in the head and he's got a mild concussion, you're at the mercy of all the tests, and just like it is in football or basketball or any other sport.
Is Coleman a guy that can wrestle this year? Can eventually
He could probably wrestle this year, but you know what? We got to do the best thing for the kid. We've got some guys there that can wrestle, and so there might be a time at Iowa State where we need to throw in a true freshman and just to contend for a trophy or team title. We're not ready to do that. So to me, a 19-year-old Marcus Coleman at the NCAA tournament or a 20-year-old Marcus Coleman at the NCAA tournament, if both of them are freshmen, common sense tells you that you wrestle a 20-year-old freshman, and so that's part of the patient word. Maybe he's the best guy at the weight, but not at the risk of proper development.
Other than injuries, do we expect to see the whole team this weekend at the
Yes. And we are banged up right now. That's the asterisk you can all write, is that we're banged up right now. We've been scrapping, and so we've got some casualties. Nothing major. We've got Breitenbach's got a fractured rib, so he's probably a week or 2 away. Deegan's got a small rib issue, and he's probably 3 weeks away. Nothing major though. We don't have any major injuries, but we got some dings right now that we're gonna have to sit a couple guys.
So it's gonna be Dante Rodriguez for the first few weeks then at 149.
Yeah, we got some other guys there too. I'm not even I'm not even gonna name a roster until we get till we get done with Lindenwood. So then you can start asking me about who the guy is. You guys are all pretty smart. You'll figure out as the cream rises to the top.
What can Deegan do for you this year coming over from Virginia Tech?
Deegan's got the right mindset. The mindset. He's a competitor. Wrestling's important to him. He's the kind of guy that'll do the right things away from the room, and so he'll be a good example. He's got a really funky, kind of unique style. So he's going to be fun to watch. He's going to be a nightmare to watch for us too, because he rolls around a lot. But he's also very dangerous. He's a pinner, and I think he's going to have some good years at Iowa State.
Speaking of funk, what are you seeing from Colston and Blassie so far?
Too much funk, right? We've got to get some more basics there. I see him working on it. I see it being important to him. But you can't live on funk alone. You have to have the basics, and so you throw basics in with funk.